UFC welterweight champion Tyron Woodley will attempt to defend his title in a rematch with Stephen Thompson at UFC 209. But despite his penchant for fearsome knockouts and the nail-biting quality of his first fight with Thompson, which ended in a draw, Woodley has struggled to gain traction with fans. His critics say that Woodley never really earned the championship in the first place. A loss to Rory MacDonald had not yet been forgotten when he was given the shot. His last two wins, over an overweight Kelvin Gastelum and a wild Dong Hyun Kim, neither of whom was ranked in the top 10 at the time. But Woodley was promised a title shot by Dana White. It would not have been the first time that a fighter had a promised opportunity taken away from them, but Woodley was determined to cash in that IOU. He wanted Robbie Lawler's belt, and he was willing to wait for it. A full year and a half went by. And then when nobody was looking, Tyron Woodley knocked Robbie Lawler's goddamn head off. Ladies and gentlemen, your new champion, and nobody claps. Whether within the cage or without, Tyron Woodley always seems to keep something to himself, to hedge his bets and quietly survey his options. He has an uncanny ability of shutting his opponents down while appearing to do very little. He consistently backs himself into the fence. And it's not a perfect tactic, but it's not an accident either. Knowing that power and speed are his biggest advantages, Woodley does not chase his opponent about the octagon. He does not waste energy attempting to hide his punches behind a volume of lesser blows. He wants every attempted knockout punch to be just as surprising as the first. So he backs up, he keeps his right hand at home, and he lets the opponent do his thing. When they get too close or start throwing too recklessly, Woodley cracks them. 1 minute the opponent is touching and feinting, trying to let his hands go in the pocket, and then quick as anything, he's on his back. And if the knockout doesn't materialize, that's okay too. Usually, buckling the other guy's knees once or twice is enough. Once his opponent feels that power, the confidence encouraged by Woodley's position against the cage quickly starts to wilt. And he slows down to the measured pace that Woodley, wary of wasting his energy, tends to prefer anyway. Yes, it can be frustrating to watch, but this much is true. Tyron Woodley knows how to bide his time, keep his eyes open, and strike when the time is right. Soft-spoken and enigmatic, Woodley does not reveal his hand without first carefully considering the situation. He recently earned the ire of many fans when he suggested that perhaps race had something to do with his lack of popularity and the lack of effort the UFC had put into promoting him. While it is difficult to quantify these claims and render them concrete, there may be something to Tyron's estimation. Arrogant, whiny, fake, these are not words usually associated with professional fighters, but men like Woodley and Rashad Evans and Daniel Cormier have all three received such criticisms many times in the past, and the disdain for Woodley shows no signs of slowing down soon. What matters most to Tyron Woodley, however, is winning. Forget putting on a show, fuck the haters. Sure, it rankles him that fans don't appreciate his style. It annoys him to think that quiet racism may be among the factors motivating this ambivalence. And you better believe it pisses him off that the UFC seem either totally disinterested in promoting him or totally ignorant of how to go about doing it. To paraphrase the man himself, Woodley rose above humble and troubled beginnings in one of this country's most dangerous cities to become an entrepreneur, father, husband, and even a professional fight analyst. Who can blame him for feeling that he deserves a little respect? In the end, however, I think that list of duties and accomplishments, his wife, his children, his future, is enough for Woodley. Tyron rarely leaves it all in the cage if he can avoid it, and he seems more than happy to let it go to the judges if he knows he's ahead. Both cardinal sins in Dana White's book, both essential aspects of Woodley's style. Ultimately, it doesn't matter what Dana White and the fans say. To Tyron Woodley, they exist only to get him paid. Because Tyron Woodley is the UFC welterweight champion of the world. He concerns himself with winning first and foremost and doesn't care too much what it looks like. He knows he's good. Whether or not you agree is your problem.